Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Busloads of arrivals to Tasmania from the virus-riddled state have rushed to beat the cut-off for free quarantine accommodation. From midnight, all arrivals will need to pay nearly $3,000 each to stay in a hotel. But passengers on packed buses today had their own concerns.
After following strict distancing guidelines on the Spirit, today's arrivals from Devonport were crammed onto buses, shoulder to shoulder, as they unloaded at a quarantine hotel, causing passengers to panic.
I have never felt more close to getting COVID. I now feel more exposed as a result of the bus journey.
David Hurl is a returning Tasmanian who was on the bus. He has no issue with quarantining, but says the crammed conditions undoes all of the distancing on the Spirit and at the hotel.
It's a weak link in a chain, yes, and that's all we need to get the COVID going again.
Is it a bad look?
Well, what we're going to do is continue to follow public health advice. I think it's a very good look for the government to always look to the experts.
Public transport is currently exempt from distancing rules. The government says that's okay, so long as everyone is wearing a mask, but those directly at risk aren't satisfied.
There was one seat left next to me, so I probably had the only seat that was not taken, purely because I said, I don't believe this is a safe way to travel.
It's important to remember that these people are being transported to a quarantine hotel where they're about to spend 2 further weeks in quarantine.
Anyone arriving here from tomorrow will be slapped with a $2,800 bill for their hotel quarantine, while the Premier will update our border rules tomorrow. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
And a woman staying inside that quarantine hotel has now been charged for allegedly refusing to follow the rules. Reporter Tom Johnson joins us live from the Best Western in Launceston. Good evening, Tom. Police say the woman became abusive and aggressive.
That's right, Kim. We're told she was warned twice by police to stay in her room, but started throwing food and becoming disruptive when she refused. Police say she is a 59-year-old woman from Penguin who arrived here on the Spirit this morning, and the trouble started from the bus ride here to Launceston. Once she was inside the Best Western Hotel, which is behind me, she was visited twice by police, first at 11 o'clock and then again at 2 o'clock, and that's when they arrested and charged her for failing to comply with the rules. And Kim, she will face court later tonight. Back to you.
Plans for a multi-billion-dollar undersea power cable to Victoria have received another tick of approval. But one big question still hangs over the project: who's paying for it?
The catch cry of the energy salesman.
We have what the rest of the nation really wants and needs.
But what does Tasmania need to build a second interconnector?
$3.5 billion.
Just over $50 million is in the bank from the Commonwealth. As for the rest,
that will be decided in due course over time.
Today, the Australian energy market operator listed Project Marinus as a priority, signalling construction could start as early as 2028 on the first of 2 new interconnectors. The state government says that's proof of a nationwide thirst for Tassie energy. It's also good news for companies lining up to build wind farms. Labor is worried the project is becoming a talk fest.
I think Tasmanians are over Guy Barnett out every couple of weeks with a new announcement around Marinus, but he can't actually deliver the project. He can't explain who is going to fund it.
Marinus would mean more jobs in Tasmania, but analysts argue it won't guarantee cheaper power bills here.
We want to make sure that those who benefit on the mainland are those that carry both the cost and the risk of that investment.
The concern from experts is if the project takes too long, the private sector will solve the market problems first, and possibly cheaper.
Things like hydrogen and the orchestrated charging and discharging of electric vehicle batteries and household batteries may actually see that investment economically stranded as each year goes by.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Legislative Council elections aren't until Saturday, but already a staggering number of ballots are flooding in. Voters will head to the polls in Huon and Rosevears, but the Electoral Commission has revealed around 40% of people have submitted postal votes or visited pre-polling centres. It's a much higher number than usual, with the Commissioner saying many were unsure if they'd be able to reach a polling place due to virus restrictions. For those casting their ballot on Saturday, voting is open between 8 a.m and 6 p.m. Two offenders involved in a frightening armed robbery are tonight still on the run. The incident occurred yesterday at the St Leonard's supermarket, with one of the suspects threatening the owner before stealing hundreds of dollars in cash. Authorities are yet to track down the suspects, who fled in a red Toyota Corolla. Meanwhile, police are also searching for two teenagers who glassed a man after he refused to give them money yesterday afternoon. The pair assaulted the 32-year-old victim multiple times at both Princes Square and the Brisbane Street Mall, striking him in the face with a glass bottle. He was taken to the Launceston General Hospital for treatment. And police are investigating what they believe was a deliberately lit fire at a West Moona property. Emergency crews were called to the Springfield Avenue home around 9 a.m, following reports of smoke coming from the house. Officers quickly brought the blaze under control, but say significant damage was done to the kitchen and living areas. Anyone with information in regards to any of these crimes is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Welcome back. They've served in our skies for more than 60 years, but today the Royal Flying Doctor Service received new additions to the fleet on the ground. 2 Metro buses donated from the state government, refitted and repurposed for important health work in remote areas.
Handing over the keys to the newest members of the RFDS.
And what have we got? We've got 2 finished buses ready to hit the road and do some good.
90s Metro buses that a year ago weren't even roadworthy. Now, after a top-to-bottom transformation through a $100,000 federal government grant, they'll provide free, vital health services in our remote regions.
But they can also be used for screening, for vaccination programs, for health literacy.
As well as youth mental health, one of the major drivers in boosting the flying doctors' capacity at ground level.
The kids between the age of 8 and 16 years of age in remote parts of Tassie, it's a real serious problem there.
The buses will drive out to rural communities and stay stationed for days on end, and their debut has already been locked in for next month in the Fingal Valley.
The demand is there, and obviously post-COVID the demand is only unfortunately going to grow.
The ability to take mobile services directly to people as they need them is a great step forward, I think.
Rotary and the RFDS are keen to grow the bus fleet even further, and the Premier says future funding could be on the cards.
Let's get these 2 operating appropriately to begin with, and then as we move forward, I'm certain that there'll be other opportunities to expand the service.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Animal welfare activists are calling for an investigation into the state's greyhound racing industry, claiming hundreds of puppies are missing. However, the figures have been slammed by those in charge of monitoring the sport.
From a life of racing to a life of leisure, these greyhounds are enjoying their retirement. But animal welfare activists say Paddy and Janie are the lucky ones.
The government says it has improved its welfare, but it certainly has not.
Calling for a fresh investigation into the industry, saying figures showed 262 greyhound pups were unaccounted for and never registered to race between 2016 and 2018.
I wasn't surprised. I was horrified, and I wasn't surprised.
The missing dogs should be investigated, self-regulation should be removed, public funding must stop, and ideally the industry should be banned.
But tension is mounting, with the Office of Racing Integrity denying these puppies are missing, saying in a statement that number is only the animals who haven't formally raced, with regulators aware of their status through vigorous tracking. New rules introduced in March also bar owners from euthanizing them, unless a medical, legal or behavioural exemption is given.
We've established a new facility at Mangalore, and we're working very hard to ensure that greyhounds can be rehomed appropriately.
The government says 137 dogs were rehomed last year as part of the greyhound adoption program. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
When it came to finding a new theme at Hobart's Art on Victoria Gallery, curators didn't have to look far. COVID-19 is on the canvas at a new exhibition examining the pandemic from the perspective of two young artists.
This is a series that I began during lockdown, and it was inspired by all of the feelings and thoughts that I had then about how the world was changing.
So the inspiration behind my work is that first 4 weeks of the isolation period, my artwork was completely thrown out the window. I was planning to do a studio piece with a lot of other people.
The show, titled Beyond the Pandemic, will run at the Outdoor Gallery for the next 6 months. Mona will reopen a small part of the iconic site after closing more than 5 months ago. From next month, restaurant Faro will return to service. Diners can expect a mystery menu alongside live music and art. Owner David Walsh says the rest of the museum will stay closed until the pandemic threat is over, or, in his words, when God tires of punishing the wicked. It may be 3 months late, but the TSL's annual Anzac Day clash will finally go ahead this weekend. Kingborough and Glenorchy will don special Anzac Guernseys at Twin Ovals. The Tigers strip will feature the names of hundreds of soldiers from the local area. Both sides are looking to make amends after heavy losses last weekend.
Now it's a new challenge, so a new week. So yeah, we let it go on Monday night and launched into the rest of the week.
Off the preparation we've all had, it's a desperate game at the moment, isn't it? It's scrappy, and the team that's on generally wins.
Meanwhile, North Launceston will take on Clarence in a blockbuster at UTAS Stadium.
Good evening. Temperatures sat between 1 and 3 above average today. Hobart, Launceston and Devonport 14, Burnie a high of 15. Now that 15 was the warmest around the state, also recorded by Smithton and King Island. St Helens and Friendly Beaches 14, Flinders Island, Ouse and Strawn 13, Lyawini a top of 7. Most of the state's cloud off to the west coast today as that moved in on that airstream in mountain wave patterns. The east mainly clear. Looking at the bigger picture, and the cloud to our west extends to the southern tip of WA. The high has maintained mainly clear skies over the mainland. Tomorrow a cold front continues to approach Tasmania as the high continues its influence over the mainland. Winds west-northwesterly. They'll be up to around 20 to 30 knots over southern waters, with winds lighter over the north and the upper east. A strong wind warning from southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point has been issued. Hobart expecting 16 tomorrow and partly cloudy. Huonville 15, 16 the top for Campania, all clear and partly cloudy. 15 the top for Launceston, morning frost and fog. 15 the top for Devonport. Georgetown partly cloudy and 14 degrees. 14 the high for Burnie, a cloudy day. 14 for Strawn, maybe a light shower. Wynyard a top of 14 as well. 16 for St Helens, and mostly sunny. 15 for Swansea, mostly sunny too for Port Arthur, 14 the maximum. On Saturday, showers over the west, far south and north. Mainly fine over the east on Sunday, with more showers over the west and north. Monday, showers across the state. Temperatures just sneaking into double figures, so cold again. A shower in Perth tomorrow. Sunny weather forecast for Adelaide and Melbourne. -3 in Canberra, ahead of a sunny day there. Sydney and Brisbane, fine and sunny as well. And currently in Hobart, it's 10 degrees, Launceston 8 and Devonport 8, and all clear, Clem.
Thank you, Merv.